Banded 14-8. He's probably my very first regular guest returning for the year. Mayor of Dubbo Regional Council, Matthew Dickerson. Good morning.
Good morning, Ian. Happy New Year to you, of course.
Happy New Year to you as well. And in fact, we didn't quite see the New Year in together because we ran into each other up at the fireworks at the Dubbo Showground, didn't we?
A couple of the 4,500 people there on that night, so it's a fantastic night. But yeah, I noticed that you weren't there at midnight still, so I couldn't say Happy New Year to you right at midnight.
I'd have looked fairly sad and lonely wandering around the showground in a daze by myself, wouldn't I?
Right. It's a good event of that, and I actually like the idea that they do have the fireworks at 9 p.m. because you've got kids there, you've got lots of families there. Trying to keep kids up to midnight is not a great idea, so it makes sense to have them at 9 o'clock.
Now, of course, with cricketer Glenn McGrath having been born in Dubbo, you're actually at the cricket at the moment, aren't you?
Today, of course, is Jane McGrath Day, and the cricket ground looks a sea of pink. I'm standing outside. I didn't want to go inside for you because I thought it might be a bit noisy with various announcements going on, but just standing outside the Sydney cricket ground at the moment, and all I can see is pink, pink and pink, and of course, Jane McGrath, Glenn McGrath's former wife, obviously she died of cancer, and they've now got this great honour for her in terms of the Pink Day. Day 3 of the Sydney Cricket Test is known as Jane McGrath Day, fundraising for cancer, and obviously Glenn is very involved in this in terms of basically getting breast care nurses out there. There's several hundred breast care nurses that are funded by fundraising events like this today.
And of course, I believe you can buy a virtual seat too at the Pink Test to help raise money for this cause.
Exactly right. The big cheer went up around the ground on a previous day where we hit 100,000 of those seats sold, the virtual seats. So you can go online and buy one of those virtual seats. It's just one of the many ways you can donate to the McGrath Foundation. And again, they do some fantastic work. And I had a friend of mine in Dubbo who recently experienced breast cancer, and she said that she didn't realise just how important it was until she had the actual experience and then realised just how important those breast care nurses are. So well done to Glenn. Obviously, tragedy losing his wife, but having turned that into something positive is a very good thing.
Yes.
And you know, it gives you a bit of an idea of the type of man that Glenn McGrath is. We
are certainly lucky too to have the Western Cancer Centre right here in Dubbo too, aren't we?
Exactly right. And so we're getting better cancer treatments in regional areas. It's still not always perfect, and people still sometimes have to go to Sydney, but there are many people in regional areas further west of Dubbo now who would have struggled to get to Sydney for a whole range of reasons, but now with some of those cancer treatments in Dubbo, at least they can get from wherever they might be out west to Dubbo, and of course Macquarie Homestay is an important part of that as well.
Matthew, I'm going to drag you back into work right now. Dubbo Regional Council still seeking nominations to recognise outstanding citizens living in our community ahead of the annual Australia Day Awards. Now, these nominations, they close shortly, don't they?
They do close on the 9th of January, 9 a.m. on the 9th of January, so we thought we'd give people a little bit of time over Christmas to have a think about some people they might want to nominate, come back into the new year, and then a little bit of time to go through. There's a bit of a process from our perspective, from Council's perspective, because we've got a committee that then has to go through and look at all those nominations, pick the winners, and then, of course, we've got to get the certificates done and framed up ready for Australia Day. So 9th of January, that's both Wellington and Dubbo, those nominations close. So if you haven't nominated someone, or if you've been thinking about nominating someone, then I'd probably say get to it as soon as possible.
Okay, awards for Dubbo, the categories are Citizen of the Year, Senior Citizen of the Year, Young Citizen of the Year, Sportsperson of the Year, Young Sportsperson of the Year, Services to Sports Award, and Cultural Person of the Year. Wellington, Citizen of the Year, Senior Citizen of the Year, Young Citizen of the Year, Sportsperson of the Year, Young Sportsperson of the Year, Community Event of the Year, and there's a Community Service Achievement Award there as well. As you said, nominations close 9 a.m. this coming Tuesday, the 9th of January. Forms are online, more information there. We can find that from the Dubbo Council website, can't we?
Yeah, exactly right. You can go online and get those forms and send those forms in. Of course, council physical offices are open again on Monday, so you could go into the office and pick up a form or drop off a completed form as well if you wanted to on Monday. Obviously, 9 o'clock Tuesday, you're leaving it a bit tight if you're leaving it till Tuesday morning to go in and do that.
Yeah, dubbo.nsw.gov.au. The events, 25th of January in Wellington, 26th of January in Dubbo. That's the same as what we did last year, wasn't it?
The only minor change we did from 2023 is we've pushed the Wellington start time back to 6:30pm. We thought that might be a little bit nicer from a weather perspective and also a bit more time for people to get there after work. And on the actual day of Australia Day in Dubbo, we brought that back a little bit earlier to 8am, again just trying to beat the heat a little bit.
My words, not yours. A number of PC or woke councils not doing citizenship ceremonies on Australia Day, but we are still doing it in the Dubbo Regional LGA, aren't we?
Well, we're doing the Twilight event in Wellington.
Yeah.
We tried that. There was a fair bit of controversy and we had to actually have a bit of a battle with the Department of Home Affairs back in 2022 when we wanted to change that to a Twilight event in 2023. And it's fair to say there were some people who were not happy about that in Wellington, some people who thought that, again, using your term there, a bit of a woke approach from Dubbo Regional Council. But I think it's actually quite a reasonable approach. It gives still the date, the 26th of Australia, as Australia Day. It's doing it as a Twilight event. I've been to Twilight Mass for a lot of years around Christmas Eve. It doesn't mean that suddenly I want to change the date of Christmas Day from the 25th of December. So having a Twilight event still recognises the 26th as Australia Day, but it has some sort of nod to the Aboriginal people in our community who, if you talk to them about Australia Day, they might talk about that as Survival Day, Invasion Day, a whole range of different terms they might have for that. And if we do a Twilight event to show some respect to Aboriginal people in our community, you'll say it's a great time to celebrate being Australian, then I think that's a pretty good compromise.
I think in the case of the Dubbo Regional LGA, it actually gives us choice because if you can't make it on the 26th, there you have that option, of attending a ceremony in Wellington, that Twilight one the night before.
Well, that's right. And in 2023, we weren't allowed to, from the Department of Home Affairs, change the Dubbo date. We could only change the Wellington date. They've now changed the Citizenship Ceremonies Code, so we could have changed it for 2024. The council has decided that it did work quite well in 2023, so they stuck with the same format, as I said, with those slight changes in time.
The Australia Day ambassadors as well, they will join with other dignitaries in the official ceremonies and the presentation of the 2024 Australia Day Awards. In Dubbo, our ambassador is
Sam Cawthorne and Reese Muldoon in Wellington. And Reese, I think many people would be familiar with him, in particular some people that have watched TV for some time, because he's got some recent TV credits. House Husband is one of those, but he goes right back to Blue Heelers and McLeod's Daughters. There's a bit of history there. Sam, for Dubbo, is actually quite young. He was the Young Entrepreneur of the Year in 2015, and he focuses on speakers, young speakers in particular, and tries to develop young speakers. So a fair bit of pressure on someone who's a speaker coach who has to speak on the day. So I'm sure he'll give a good presentation there. So again, we never know who we're going to get with ambassadors, but I've never seen a bad ambassador be allocated to Dubbo or Wellington in the time that I've been involved with these citizenship ceremonies, these Australia Day ceremonies.
Okay, the Australia Day ceremonies, Wellington, the Twilight one, 25th of January, as you said there, 6:30 kick-off. On Dubbo's ceremony, the 26th of January, what time and where?
8am at Victoria Park. And for Wellington, it's 6:30pm on the 25th in Cameron Park.
Okay, so there we go. Cameron Park for Wellington and Victoria Park number 1 oval there for Dubbo.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we love to see a big crowd turn up there. We've got myself will speak in Dubbo. The Deputy Mayor Richard Ivey will speak in Wellington from a council perspective. We've got the ambassadors that we've mentioned. And we also have an Aboriginal speaker at each event, again, to give a bit of that context and a bit of that history. But the other thing that's exciting is when we do hand out those awards, just hearing what some of these people have done in our community gives you a bit of a feeling of pride that these people are involved in our community and so involved in our community. And of course then in Dubbo we do a citizenship ceremony, and that's exciting as well. Of all days to become an Aussie, doing that on Australia Day, what a great day to do that with a huge crowd in front of you, 400 or 500 people there to cheer you on and make you really proud of being Australian. I think that's a really big part of it, Ian, is it's just a good day to sit back and think, wow, this is a great nation that we are in. Isn't it fantastic to be part of this nation?
Here. Now, we've got a couple of minutes to go. What are some of the upcoming events or infrastructure plans for this year, mate?
Well, a few things I'll focus on. I'll go in two different directions. First of all, in terms of events, we do have lots of events that occur in Dubbo every year that just help our economy tick over and take advantage of our great facilities. But two in particular this year will be outstanding. One will be the Bowls New South Wales State Championships. They've never before taken this to a regional area. They've always focused around Metro Sydney, and sometimes they go up or down the coast a little bit, but they're basically focused around Metro Sydney. Because they've got such great facilities here in Dubbo, the bowls clubs, they've got a combined event where they'll use the 3 bowls clubs in Dubbo to actually host those state championships. So Bowls New South Wales are taking a bit of a punt on the fact that Dubbo can do this, and I think we'll do it fantastically. So we've got a contract for 3 years. They do 2024, then they'll go back to Metro next year. We'll have it again in 2026 and 2028. So that's a huge thing and a first, or a one-off, if you like, first event there. Hopefully that'll continue on for a long period of time. The other one is, of course, the New South Wales Touch Junior State Conference. We had that last year. Now, we're a little bit lucky to get it last year because of some rained-out events at another place that it was meant to be at. So we got it as a one-off event last year. We then put an application in to hold it for the next 3 years, and of course we were successful in that. So at the end of February this year, we'll be holding the next Junior State Cup, and we've got that again for 2025 and 2026. So they're 2 really big events from a sporting event or a sporting focus. Then when you look at some of our infrastructure, down along behind Ollie Robbins Oval, we've got our Legacy Shared Pathway. That'll be finished by March. We've got our event precinct that should be finished by the end of the year. And the Heritage Plaza out the front of the old Dubbo Jail, that will be finished this year as well. The other one I'd love to see a sod turned on is our Radri Cultural Tourism Centre. We're still waiting on a funding application to hopefully be successful with the federal government before we can go ahead with that one. So a few infrastructure projects there as well to look at.
Mate, a question without notice too. I know that Dubbo Regional Council has expressed their opinion on what they'd like for the name of that new bridge in North Dubbo. Is there any progress on that? Is that still with Transport for New South Wales?
Transport for New South Wales is certainly running that process where they're going out and doing some consultation. We have certainly said, we haven't said a specific name.
No.
We've said that it would be nice to see some Aboriginal context around that name. So that's our focus there. Again, it'll be a process between Transport for New South Wales and Council, obviously with the community involved there as well, to come up with a final name for that new bridge. So if you've got some ideas, then take advantage of that consultation that's being run at the moment as we speak.
I had a couple of inquiries. That's why I threw that in there. And my response was the fact that, yeah, it is still with Transport for New South Wales at this stage. Matthew Dickerson, as always, great to catch up with you. And, I hope you enjoy your day today at the cricket in Sydney.
I'm sure I will, and get out there and donate some money to the McGrath Foundation.
Here, very, very good cause there. Matthew Dickerson, we'll catch up with you again in the studio next week. Mayor of Dubbo Regional Council there, Matthew Dickerson. It's now coming up to 2 minutes to 8. We have the latest in national news with Di Coveney Garland for you in a couple of minutes.